As the prophet of esports, I rely on trustworthy and meaningful data every day. Data from our research partner, YouGov, offers the most complete view of esports fans and gamers in the world, providing context to who they are, what they think, the brands they buy, and things they do. YouGov's connected insights and research services inform strategy at every level. If you're a team, a brand, agency, or rights holder, you should be talking with YouGov. Their partners measure and maximize ROI and are telling compelling stories with data. Visit yougov.com/gaming-esports to learn more. Let me just share this first article, guys. And this one may be a rabbit hole, so I may be making a mistake starting with this one. But the headline here, World of Warcraft may finally be coming to consoles. And the article mentions that there's a rumor, and if the rumor's to be believed, that WoW is coming to consoles. It was listed, like a World of Warcraft Complete Edition was listed in the source code for Xbox's game section. And the release date supposedly is listed as December 9th, which seems awfully soon to just be an unsubstantiated rumor. Now,
December 9th, 2023.
yeah.
20XX.
20XX. The year was not specified. The rest of the article is about sort of all the trouble around Activision Blizzard. But I'm curious, Jeff, let's start with you. Get your thoughts on Activision Blizzard doing WoW for consoles. First of all, do you think the rumor's true? Second of all, if you do think it is, what are the implications there?
It's a good question. To some extent, I sort of want your thought because I know you're a WoW player, so I'm curious. Like, I don't have the depth of playing WoW to know like the controls, whether it works on console. My intuition is that it sort of doesn't really work that well on console, which is probably why they haven't done it over the past 15 years. So I'm a bit surprised why they would do it now. I don't think this really brings, in terms of bringing WoW to a new player base, expanding the audience, I think WoW Mobile, which we do know that's something that Activision is Blizzard is working on. So that will happen as well. I'd be a lot more bullish on a WoW Mobile, even though you might have the same issues with portability and the controls, kind of expanding the addressable market and bringing in new players to the top of the funnel. I think that would be a lot more interesting from an investor perspective than putting WoW on console, because I just don't know how many people have consoles that don't have PCs that have just been waiting 15 years to like have the opportunity to play WoW.
So you think even if this is true, it doesn't have a huge impact? You don't get a ton of new players?
Yeah.
Does no one buy the idea that maybe bringing WoW to consoles will bring in a generation that maybe didn't grow up on sort of hardcore MMO on PC, that maybe are like what I call console kiddies, right? Like the 13 or 14-year-old whose parents bought them an Xbox and that is their sole, gaming device, and therefore has had no exposure to something like WoW. Jimmy, do you have thoughts on that?
I mean, I feel like that's a great thought maybe 10 years ago. I feel like where mobile is at today, all these kids are on mobile no matter where else they also are, right? Like you're going to have a hardcore PC gamer who probably has a fun mobile game that he plays on the side. So I love Jeff's point that like mobile would have moved the needle more for him. The way I'm reading this is like, okay, cool. Bobby Kotick's refusing to step down and Activision Blizzard's refusing to make new games. Like, I don't know if this is, going to happen or not. I think you prefaced it by saying it was a rumor. I just don't know what they accomplished by going to the console market, and to your point, right? Like, why haven't they done this 10 or 15 years ago when consoles were really a bigger deal than they are today? So just a lot of questions, honestly, and not a lot of optimism or excitement for me. And that's someone, I'm someone that likes WoW. I played WoW. I used to be a huge console guy, right? Like I've had every console. I've had both PlayStation and Xbox at the same time just to play, the different exclusives. So if this is falling flat on me, I can imagine how the rest of the community is taking it. I'd like to think that I'm somewhat in touch or at least aligned, but it's disappointing.
Lindsay, would you play WoW if it came to your Switch?
No, I mean, I played on my. I totally agree with Steph and Jimmy. I think this is way better suited as a mobile game, and any kid who's a console kiddo, I think, also plays things like Clash of Clans or something on their phone where it's kind of like, it requires a lot more in-depth playing, like WoW does. So I don't understand. I don't know. It's like Activision Blizzard has all these fires, and instead of putting any out, they're just like, oh, we're just going to carry the fire extinguisher to the building next door and sit down. Like, no, guys, like, you could be doing so much, and yet here we are.
Now, we don't know if there's any truth to the rumor, right? It may just be completely false. None of this may be true. I'm with you guys on this one in that I think, believe it or not, as someone who's not a fan of mobile gaming, WoW is one game that I think I would probably play on mobile, in the sense that, on a big iPad, on the couch, doing the same quest 1,000 times over, right? Where I don't need a crazy amount of immersive graphics. I don't need, the finesse of a mouse and keyboard. And WoW is such an old game. Like, running it on mobile is not an issue.
The perfect thing to complement your Real Housewives marathons, Paul. You just sit there with the iPad and catch up with all the ladies.
Grind WoW at the same time, right?
Yeah.
No, but I actually, I'm surprised that they haven't done that. I mean, even before a Diablo on mobile, I might even argue, right? Like that WoW on mobile was maybe even more obvious. So I do think it's an interesting rumor. I suspect it's not true. I have serious doubts that this is actually something they would put resources on, but I mean, who knows,
well,
right?
December 9th, that would be insane.
I mean, no one's running the ship over at Activision Blizzard anyways right now, so like it's rudderless. Maybe crazy stuff like this will come out as a consequence of everyone just doing whatever they feel like at the moment. But I did think it was an interesting story to start off with, because if it does happen, do you see Final Fantasy going, to consoles in a big way? Do you see New World going to consoles in a big way? Like, do we start seeing MMO as a legitimate genre on console? Maybe. I don't know if WoW leads the way. Whereas MMOs, I would argue, have been one of the genres that have been very much PC centric or PC dominant.
Is there a reason for that? Is it because of the customer base, or you think it's because of the controls?
Both. Typically, like the way these games were built, it's a lot of text. It's a lot of small icons and items and inventories. And, there's just a lot that you need to put on the screen. Damage bars, mana bars, skills. And so adapting that to mobile, I don't think is trivial, without sort of hampering the experience in some way. But it can be done. I'm sure it could be done. And if done right, I think could be compelling because of the grindy nature of these games and being able, not having to sit at your desk to go through them.